to Hayden Cooks a Lot. I am going to be making a pasta salad, and I've kind of cleaned out my refrigerator a little bit, and I have little pieces of this and that, whatever, and I'm going to put that in my pasta salad. So lots of vegetables, and then add a dressing on the top of it, and it'll be tasty. And we're going to have this for lunch tomorrow. So I have already gotten myself ready, so make sure hair is back, sleeves are rolled up, nothing on your hands or wrists, and your hands are washed. I have my cutting board here. I have red silicone hot pads underneath, so my cutting board does not move around. You can lay out a paper towel that's damp the length of your cutting board so your cutting board doesn't move. And then over on my stove, I have a large pot, half full with water, and I'm bringing it up to a boil so I can boil my pasta. So the pasta I'm going to use, normally I buy store brand stuff, but they were out of the store brand, so I bought this brand here. But the Tricolor Rotini. So it has 3 different colors, green and like a reddish tomatoey looking color, and then the normal white looking pasta. So, because this looks pretty when you make a salad, because you'll have a variety of colors in there. So this pasta says on the side of it to cook it for 7 minutes until it's al dente. So al dente is like an Italian word, and that means firm to the bite, okay? So when you cook your pasta, you don't want to overcook your pasta. So it should not be mushy and falling apart when you stir it. If you did that, you cooked it too long. So, and since we're going to be adding in some dressing, which will absorb into the pasta too, I might want to back that up just a little bit. So I'm probably going to check this at 6 minutes, and I'll take a bite of one of them to see how it's doing, and then see if I need to add on another 30 seconds or the full 7 minutes. So al dente, okay, firm to the bite. So I hear my water, it's boiling. So I'm going to open this box. And we want to make sure your water is at a rapid boil. So a rapid boil, the water in the pot's like this. Okay, so it's rapidly moving and bursting bubbles and steam coming up. So I'm going to go pour this in, and I'm going to give it a little stir so the pasta does not stick together. So pouring it in all at one time and giving a stir. And that just made it stop boiling for a second as you put the pasta in, which is why it's important to have it at a full rolling boil before you put your pasta in. And now I'm going to set my phone timer for 6 minutes. Okay, all right. So while that is going, I'm going to start prepping some of my vegetables that I had in my refrigerator. So I have already washed and dried off these pieces of celery. So the ends of the celery, when I wash it, you make sure that you rub it clean underneath the water, because there is dirt and sand that lives in the crevices and stuff of the celery. So make sure you clean that really well. Don't just rinse it. You need to rub your fingers on it too to get rid of it. I'm going to cut off the very tops and the very bottoms, and that'll go in my compost. And then I need to think about, when I eat my pasta salad, what do I want on my fork coming up? So what size pieces? So you need to think about that when you go to chop yours. And I'm using a chef knife. This is a Santoku style. So I'm going to have my finger going, my middle finger going up here to the slot. This first finger is bent right here, and then my thumb is on the back side of the knife like that. And I'm holding it carefully. And I don't want to have huge pieces of celery. I'm okay with like this side of the celery that's a little skinnier to go on there, but this side of the celery is too fat. So I'm going to cut this in half where it gets a little bit too large, and then these fatter pieces, I'm going to run my knife down the middle to make them a little bit skinnier. And if they're really fat, I'm cutting them into thirds, okay? And then I'm going to stack those up. And then these pieces here, this one I want to cut in half. And this one I want to cut in half. And this one's kind of skinny, so I'm going to leave it the way it is. Now I'm going to stack these up, okay? So I'm going to hold this with the claw. Make sure your pinky and thumbs are not out so you don't cut them off, and hold on to your vegetables. And now I'm going to come through, and I'm just chopping them, you know, kind of thin, not super thin, but little pieces that would be good going on the fork for my pasta salad. Not too big, not too small. And I love celery. Celery's full of fiber. It's good for you. When it gets down to the end, I'm just putting my hand on top as I chop so I don't end up cutting my fingers. All right, so, oh, I need to cut that one right there. All right, so I am going to scoop this up with my hands and get this into my big bowl. I have a large bowl here for pasta salad, so I can toss everything together in it. All right, next thing I want to prepare are my carrots. So it's up to you if you want to leave the carrot skin on or off. The skin is full of nutrients and fiber. So the skin is ugly though, so it doesn't matter if you're the only one eating it, you and your family, you're not entertaining anybody, leave the skin on. Just make sure that you scrub your carrots well and get them clean. I'm gonna cut off the ends of the carrot, and that'll go in my compost pile, okay? But I'm gonna peel this carrot just to show you a safe way to do it. So when you go to peel your carrots, have this end, your hand is up the top, and this end is on the cutting board. And I'm going to start in the middle with my vegetable peeler. And I'm going to start in the middle and go down away from me, rotate, down away, rotate. And you're only taking one layer off, just the skin. Don't keep going over the same section of the carrot. Rotate the carrot to the other side. Now I'm holding the top end, going middle away, middle away, middle away as I go. Be careful you don't scrape your knuckles on the cutting board too, because you could scratch your skin off. All right, so I just took the skin off. There's nothing wrong with this. This is nutritious. I could have left it on, but I'm just taking it off to show you. I'm going to put this in my compost pile too. And I'm going to give my pasta a stir. Scraping the bottom of that pot, making sure nothing is sticking together. So you only need to give it a stir every now and again. You do not need to float oil in your pasta water. I don't know why people do that, because the oil floats on top of the water, and then when you go to dump your pasta, it's the first thing that goes down the drain. There's no point in that. So, not necessary. All right, so I just peeled that one, removing the skins off of the board. Okay, so peeler off to the side. Now I'm going to cut up my carrot. So the skinny side of the carrot, I can just chop up this fatter side, same thing. I'm going to put my palm on top because this is hard, and I'm going to help push down. My finger is closed here. Push down as I go through the middle of it. Same thing on this one here. Okay, and now flat side down, flat side down, flat side down, flat side down. These are a little thicker, so I'm going to go through them one more time. Stack this up, and then these are skinny enough. And now I'm going to put my palm on top of the knife, and I'm going to cut these into pieces. Not too big, not too small, to go into my pasta salad. If you want more or less carrot or celery or whatever vegetables, that's fine. You can put whatever you like in your salad. All right, scoop this up and put that in the bottom of my big bowl. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this red bell pepper. So the red bell pepper I washed really well. I don't want the seeds going in my salad, so I'm going to start here next to this part of the pepper, and I'm going to cut around and curve my knife as I go down, okay, cut the sides off of it. So coming down on this side, and then this side, keeping my fingers out of the way, and this side. Okay, so this part here goes in the compost pile, and then this is the white pithy part. It's kind of spongy. We don't want to eat that part. Yeah, you could, but it's just kind of a strange texture. So I'm going to peel that out with my fingers. Oh, and there's my timer for 6 minutes. Okay, so finish grabbing that. All right, now I'm going to pull out, I'm going to rinse off my hands, and I'm going to pull out a piece of the pasta and taste it and see what I think. All right, so I have one little piece of pasta here, okay, and I'm going to rinse it off. I have my one of my sinks is right here, so I'm rinsing off this pasta to cool it. I'm going to take it with my hand and I'm going to bite it. Okay. It's firm to the bite. It's a little too firm in the center. Okay. So I'm going to let that go 1 more minute. So that was 6. So I'm going to do the full 7 minutes, and then that will be done. So I'm going to get out my hot pad to get ready. And I'm going to set that right there. And then I'm going to just be scooping out the pasta, putting it right there inside of my salad bowl. And I want to add some dressing right away to absorb into that pasta. But while pasta is hot, you want to toss your sauce or whatever you're putting with it in with the pasta, because the pasta will absorb that sauce. And that's how you can make good flavor in your pasta. All right, I'm going to get out my oven mitts here because the pot will be hot. Scoot that out of the way, give myself some space, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to spend about another minute. I'm going to turn off the heat and pick up the pot carefully. Bring this over, set it on the hot pad, put my oven mitts back in the drawer, out of the way, and I'm going to use this little skimmer and I'm going to pull the pasta out, draining off the excess water. Right on top of the vegetables are fine, not going to hurt anything. And I could dump this pot directly into my sink in a colander, but I don't have my colander out right now because it's in the dishwasher and I don't feel like hand washing it. So I'm just going to use this to scoop the pasta out, and that's fine. All right, a little bit more in there. And there we go. And that's the last of it. Okay, so now I'm going to move that pot back over to the stove that I turned off, put it on a cool area. Okay, so you can make your own dressing, a homemade dressing. Usually it's like, like a third of a cup of vinegar, 2/3 of a cup of oil, put a little squirt of mustard, some salt, pepper, emulsify it together. You can use whatever flavor vinegar you like, you know, whatever. I'm just gonna go quick and easy today. So I'm gonna be using Wishbone Italian dressing. So this is the salad dressing I grew up on when I was a little kid, and I like it. So usually we end up liking stuff as an adult with what we grew up with. So I'm going to squirt a good amount of this on the pasta because it is going to absorb it. And I need to get a spoon. All right, so I'm gonna toss this in. Remember, the pasta is gonna absorb some of that dressing. So I'll probably be adding more dressing to it later down the road. So I'm tossing in those carrots and celery in with that pasta. Okay, it smells good. All right, so I'm just gonna let that sit for now as it's starting to cool off while I finish pressing my peppers. All right, so I have skin side down because the skin side is a little slippery. So sometimes the knife will want to slip off and get you. So I have that down. I'm going to cut this into strips very carefully. I don't want to cut my fingers. And then I'm going to come back and chop that. And yeah, let me get a little bit more. Okay, I'm gonna save this for a breakfast recipe I'm gonna make, so I'm just gonna leave this off to the side. All right, so now I'm gonna rotate this red bell pepper, full of vitamin C here, and it has pretty color for our salad, lots of fiber, and this is really juicy too. Okay, so I'm gonna hold on to the pile, and I'm gonna run my knife through it and make a chop this up into smaller pieces and put my hand on top as I get close to it so I don't cut my fingers. And now I'm gonna scoop this up and put that in my salad. You can use any color bell pepper you would like. I just happen to have red, but I usually have orange, yellow, and green. So some tomatoes. So these are some little cherry tomatoes. I'm not gonna cut these. I'm just gonna leave them whole in the salad because if they get cut, they do leak their juices everywhere. And I don't wanna do that. All right, so those are rinsed, pop those in. And earlier I made a cucumber salad with a little bit of onion in it. So I'm actually gonna use some of that salad in my pasta salad. So this already has its own marinade on it, but it'll actually be delicious in this pasta salad too. So scoop some of this in there. And this is cucumbers with onions and a dressing I made. It has some apple cider vinegar in it and some lemon juice and a bunch of different herbs and spices and stuff that went in. All right, that's good right there. Otherwise, I just put some raw cucumber in there, which would be good. Okay, I have some sliced, already pitted Kalamata olives, which is a Greek olive. And they're kind of a purpley black color. They're really pretty. So I'm going to drain off this liquid here. And they're sliced already rather than whole, but you can use whole olives. You can use any kind of olive you like. Sometimes I put in here olives that are stuffed with jalapenos or some kind of like cheese or just the pimento ones or the green ones. It doesn't matter. Whatever I have in my refrigerator is good. So put a few scoops of those olives in there. That looks good. Okay. And I have some leftover onion from earlier. So I'm going to chop this up. This is a little bit of white onion that was left. So I'm going to chop just a little bit left that's on here into some small pieces, and it's near the little root end here. So I have just a little bit left on there to add in. And that looks good right there. All right, so just a little bit of onion. That was a white onion, and I'm going to rub my hands together as I drop the onion to break up the little onion pieces. Okay. Get that in there. I'm going to rinse off my hands. And I like garbanzo beans, also known as chickpeas. So I cannot get that. Let me use the back side of my knife, lift that up. There's the little pop lid, okay? And we don't want this liquid going in. So I'm going to drain off the liquid into the sink. And then I need to rinse these chickpeas off. We get the liquid off of them that they're sitting in, because that liquid has a bunch of salt in it. And it's I just don't like the flavor of the liquid that's in there. All right, but I love chickpeas. Chickpeas are also known as garbanzo beans. This is what gets pureed up with tahini and olive oil and lemon juice and other stuff to make hummus. All right, so I'm gonna put the whole can in there. Looks good to me. Okay, and then I have a little bit of shredded cheddar. Now, normally I'd put in cubed cheddar, like a block that I would cube up myself, but I don't have any. So I'm just gonna sprinkle in a little bit of cheddar cheese. Okay, that's about maybe a 1/4 of a cup right there. And then I wanna put a little bit of meat in it. So you could use leftover cooked chicken, rotisserie chicken, some leftover cooked steak or pork chops, even some cooked shrimp. Maybe in your pantry, you have some canned chicken or tuna or salmon. And this salmon can actually has bones and skin in it, so you need to drain it and pick off the bones and skin before you flake it to put it in there. That could go in your pasta salad if you want, but I always like to have either salami or summer sausage in mine. That's my favorite. So I happen to have this salami here, and this salami is a peppered salami. So it actually is rolled in a black pepper on it, and I think it tastes great. I love black pepper. I think it tastes delicious. So I'm gonna cut a hunk of this off. You can see the inside there, and it has the pepper around the outside. And this is great on a little appetizer tray too. So I'm gonna slice this up, then I'm gonna come back and chop it. So I'm holding onto the salami very carefully so it doesn't roll around. This last piece, I'm gonna rainbow it, my fingers around it as I go through. Okay, so I'm gonna stack this up, and now I'm gonna come through, and I'm going to slice into thin, little like matchstick looking things. And this is a hard salami. Get through. All right. And that's good enough. All right. So I'm going to take that, and I can either leave it like these little sticks, or I can go back and I can chop them up even smaller if I want. I'm okay leaving them as the little sticks. So I'm going to drop that in. Get back in there. Okay. And put that in. Now I'm going to give my hands a rinse because I have black pepper on them. And I have a little bit of seasonings I want to add in addition to the Italian dressing. So let me get a little spoon. Okay, so I have some dried basil here. So this is about 1/4 of a teaspoon's worth. And I have some onion powder. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of that in there. And I have a little bit of celery seed. Even though we have celery in it, the celery seed gives a little bit different of a celery flavor. And I really like that in a pasta salad. It tastes good. So I put about 1/2 teaspoon of that in. And here's some granulated garlic. So I'm going to add about 1/4 of a teaspoon of that. Sprinkle that around. Okay, and now, is that everything? Yep, okay. So let me get this cutting board out of the way. Okay, and I'll scoop this bowl near me. And you can see I have all kinds of stuff layered in it right now. So I'm going to toss. I'm gonna toss it well to incorporate those herbs and spices and stuff into it. That looks good. Now, that pasta soaked in the Italian dressing. So I'm noticing as I'm tossing here, it's not as full of a vinaigrette as I would like it to be. So we don't want to have a dry pasta salad. So I'm going to give this another shake. The lid back on there, give it another shake. And then I'm going to add more dressing. And again, you can do your favorite dressing or your homemade dressing, whatever it is that you like. And some people actually, instead of using an Italian type dressing, a vinaigrette, some people will use like Catalina, which is like a French style type salad dressing on there. Sometimes they'll use that too in a pasta salad, and it's also good. I just prefer the Italian ones. You know, I'm just scooping down, scooping towards the middle and lifting as I rotate my bowl around to help toss it. And then I'm gonna need to give it a taste and see what I think. And then tomorrow when we go to have this for lunch, and of course we're gonna have leftovers too, so we'll probably eat on this for 2 to 3 days. It might need a little bit more dressing again, because as it sits, the vegetables and stuff and the pasta, you know, they'll absorb some of that liquid. So I'm gonna grab a fork and come over here and give it a taste and then see if I need to add anything else to it. Okay. Very good. Okay, so I want to add into it some black pepper. So this is a fine grind black pepper. Make sure you always taste your food before you serve it to people, because you need to adjust your seasonings. Okay, so fine ground in there. And it does need a little bit more dressing on it. Here we go. And then toss a little bit more. And this is a clean fork. Put the other one in the sink. I'm gonna try it again and see. Very good. Delicious. All right. Well, this is what it looks like up close. It's nice, healthy lunch for you. Try some pasta salad. Thanks for joining me.